it doesn't matter who you voted for. If I respected you before I found out who you voted for, if I liked you, if I loved you, and then when I found out, I noticed myself pulling away, respecting you less, liking you less, all of my good feelings going out the door. That's an issue with me. My cue that I need to come back to love, come back to my own heart. Before that happens, it's okay to be upset. It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to be outraged. It's okay to feel hurt. And maybe you're here to beat that drum of revolution and change. But when that's no longer working, when the therapy's no longer working, when all of the things aren't working, and you're the one left feeling unhappy, anxious, discontent, lacking peace within you, then I've learned that that's always the cue to come back to your heart. And the path forward starts with noticing what's going on inside you, and that you might be looking out there for the world to change, for people to change, before you can feel contentment within yourself. Also, notice the meaning that you're making out of other people's vote. The tragic story that you're telling yourself is going to happen before it even happens. The story you're telling yourself about the other people, about how they must be heartless, they must be completely stupid to not see the things that are right in front of them. Because even if all of these things are true, it's causing suffering for you. And whether you're Buddhist or not, you could probably agree life is filled with suffering. And there is unnecessary suffering, and then there's necessary suffering. Ask yourself, is this necessary suffering? Will this suffering lead me to actionable steps of things that can actually be done? Or am I just making myself and everyone I care about miserable? Because raging into the void, it has its place. But if you stay there, if you stay in this trauma state, it's like holding a hot coal and expecting other people to get burned and not yourself. You've got to be able to pick your battles and say, hey, is there anything that I can actually do here to make change? Because meeting hate with hate, rage with rage, anger with anger isn't going to make a difference. The martial art of Aikido teaches that you don't meet force with force. You take that force, that energy that's coming at you, and you move with it. You let it flow around you, and you work with that energy in order to transform it. And that is looked at as the ultimate act of love. I want to be clear, this doesn't mean keeping toxic people in your life. If someone is truly cruel, harmful, abusive, walk away. You don't need that in your life, and no one should have to deal with that. And with time, you can hold love in your heart, but at a distance. There's a good chance that you're feeling some resistance right now, thinking it's my rights or other people's rights that are going to be trampled upon. Why should it be any of our responsibilities to be understanding, to pause and notice, to take that energy and flow with it and transmute it? Like, that's a lot of effort, mentally, emotionally, maybe even physically. Why should that be my responsibility when they should change? First of all, your rage, it makes perfect sense that you feel that way. And I want to encourage you to vent, to get your anger out. Throw rocks into a field. Don't throw them at someone's windows. Just like it's not okay for someone to be upset from work and come home and take it out on their family or the dog, it's not okay to be taking it out on strangers on the internet or in real life or with other people that you once respected, liked, and loved. If this world is going to become the kind of world that you want it to become, someone's got to start the repair process. someone's got to take the first step and say, you know what? I am going to ask some questions so that I can understand. I am going to have forgiveness in my heart. And if you're not spiritual, you don't like the word forgiveness, that's okay. But we come back to the question as, what is it that you really want? Because pulling away from people that don't think like you, that don't view the world like you, but that previous to recent events you respected, liked, and loved, that's just going to create more division. It's going to create more loneliness. It's not going to get you what you want. We're going to end up with camps of people that don't understand each other. And that's what creates war. Looking at other people and saying, you're different, you're bad, you're wrong. The blame shame game. It's a tale as old as time. And the Art of War, that was written in the BC era, talked about this. How do you win a war? You do it without fighting. You create division amongst the people. You get them to turn against each other. And this is what is happening. And so someone has to be aware and awake enough to be like, you know what? I'm not going to play into that. I'm going to come back to my heart and I'm going to remember that I respected, liked, and loved this person. And I might not understand their rationale for doing this. I promise you, the fear mongering is happening on both sides. If I put out balanced posts like this, it gets no traction. But if I were to put out something polarizing, bam, it'd get tons of traction, tons of attention. And even marketers teach you to do that. They're like, you need to put stuff out there that's polarizing. That's how you gain a following. And I have refused to do that because this is what I stand for. This is what I value. And the irony is that by me taking this middle path, it makes both sides upset with me for not taking a much stronger stance in their direction. So let's take a breath. I want you to think about someone whose vote hurt you. Now I want you to ask yourself, did I respect this person before? Did I like this person before? Did I love this person before? If you're nodding yes, and their vote was the only thing that changed things, let me ask you something. What gives them greater chances of understanding things differently? Is it you turning away, calling them a name that totally assassinates their character, that maybe ends with a ist? Or is it for you to find within yourself that same thing that you want them to find, that curiosity to understand where you're coming from, to really take the time to understand what's going on underneath the surface, rather than talking at them, talk with them, open up a dialogue. And if that's too much to ask, do some research to see what they're saying on the other side of the aisle. It might just make a little bit of sense to you, enough that you can find it within your heart to find that connection again. Because here's the deal. Everyone lives in their own reality that's shaped by their experiences, fears, and hopes. Based on those things, they'll take in media sources that then strengthen that, and then strengthen it some more as the algorithm suggests more things to them. And their vote makes sense within these realities. I want to finalize this by stating that love is not about how someone makes you feel. Love isn't about feeling completely understood and being on the same page about things. So if love isn't about feeling or understanding, what is it about? Well, in this instance, it's about choosing to remember who they are beyond their vote. It's about keeping no record of wrongs while still standing for what's right. This isn't easy. So you might have to feel your anger first, heal your old wounds, set clear boundaries, and start with small moments of understanding. And here's the truth. We're all just trying to make sense of this chaotic world. And maybe that's where we start finding our way back to each other. Not through agreeing, but remembering the love and connection that brought us to each other in the first place. If this stirred something in you or you found it useful, please share it with someone else. And like and subscribe for more.